So hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's get started. Let me know if you're able to see my screen. My voice is audible.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Natarajan. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining for today's session. It's been a gap of 2 weeks after the AWS session, but really appreciate your time and effort taking this time to learn new things and joining the session to understand what is going to happen in the cloud area, where we are going to see a lot of challenges in terms of new technology arise every day today. And in that, we are going to start with Terraform, and this is the first class what we're going to begin with. And from today, so I started recording the session, so the recorder will be available, and I'll be uploading to my YouTube. Later, then I will share the link to you. So whenever you want, you can just make use of it. So to begin with, today's session will be on Terraform. And so these are the topics which we're going to cover. So these are the items, which is what is Terraform and what is the Terraform architecture, and where the Terraform is being used. Okay, so what are the IAC tools are used in industries, and the example of configuration file, how the Terraform looks like. And we'll be walking through the installation of Terraform in Windows and deploying a EC2 instances using Terraform. So today's session will be it will be more fundamental. It will not be in detail. So going forward, there will be more topics in detail about Terraform. But today, to start with, so I just took a few topics which is so fundamental, so everyone are used to it, and so everyone can get benefit out of this one. So again, to give you an introduction about Terraform, this is not actually a programming language, so we need not to worry. It's not like Java or Python, where you have to do a lot of practice. It is not that difficult, but it's also called an infrastructure as code, which is been widely used across industry, especially in cloud area. And it has a lot of providers available. And by practice, you can actually start deploying in your environment and start doing it. The best way of learning is like you start doing practice. You can definitely do a lot of infrastructure, a lot of learning in this by your practices. So there's no any prerequisite saying that is there no prerequisites like you want to know Python or Java. It's not like that. It's very easy. The moment you start do practicing, it comes on your way to on your side. It becomes so easy for you. Okay. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss today. So to begin with, everyone know today's topic is on Terraform, which is infrastructure as code. There are other tools available in other cloud platforms. Okay, so just want to understand from your side, do you know any other infrastructure as code available in industry? So we can just start with the question.
Cloud formation is.
Sorry, please come again.
Cloud formation.
Okay, cloud formation. What else? Ansible. Okay. Pardon? Pulumi, okay. Pulumi, yeah, means there, but it's not wide. It's not started. Many. They're not. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Okay, but I have not taken Pulumi here, but I have taken Azure as resource manager from Azure Technology, which is like I'm concentrating more on the major clouds. So yeah, no problem. So what else we have? Anything in GCP? Anything in Google Cloud? Okay, it's called Google Cloud Deployment Manager. So these are the infrastructure as cloud. I mean, it's code services which has been majorly used in all major clouds. And Ansible is actually not infrastructure as code as services. It is actually a configuration management, but it has a capability to do the infrastructure deployment as well. So it is not, we cannot just ignore Ansible in infrastructure as code, because it has a capability of doing infrastructure deployment also, but not like Terraform or CloudFormation, explicitly develop for infrastructure. So Ansible is more into configuration management, which also does the capability of creating an infrastructure. Okay, so to begin with Terraform, so from your experience and from your knowledge, so can you just share your knowledge and what is Terraform? So what is your understanding from what does Terraform does? So anyone can pick from your side. Yeah, okay, thank you so much, Rupal. So anyone else has any idea what is Terraform? Just not. Yeah. Very good, Santosh. Thank you so much. And anyone else has any answers? What is Terraform? Why we are using Terraform basically? We are using many tools, but Terraform becomes so fame in this industry now. So can you just tell why is okay? Okay, I think Surya was trying to answer. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, Santosh and Surya were the point why Terraform is being widely used. That's one point which we can take it up. So, any answers from anyone else? Why Terraform is widely used? Very super nice information, Santosh. That's really great. Thank you so much. Anyone else has any questions? Any answers from why Terraform is used and what is Terraform? Okay, thank you so much. Correct. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I think we got ample amount of answers for what is Terraform and why it is being widely used. So probably we can just go through the slides, and what I know, I will just share the information from my side as to. So Terraform is actually not a language. It's a infrastructure as code as services which can be used across multiple providers. It's by officially they have 100 plus of providers where Terraform can be used and can be deployed. And the one advantage in Terraform is kind of open source, where we need not to worry about the cost. So it's kind of open source tool which can be deployed, which can be used to automate your infrastructure and manage your complete IaaS, PaaS, and your SaaS services. And so when Santosh and Surya added this point, so I just want to take that one because it is also it's using a declarative languages. What does a declarative language mean? It defines what what the user needs as a result, what we need as a desired state. Okay, so I want to create a VM, or I want to create an infrastructure, and that's my desired state, and that's my goal. And I need not to worry like what is the next step which I need to take care. So Terraform itself do the rest of the job for us. Okay, if I want to just create an infrastructure with a VM, or I want to create an infrastructure with a DB or any other resources, I can just give the numbers and just give the resource detail and types, and automatically the Terraform takes care of my deployment very easily, where I need not to worry what is the next step of action to be performed. So that's the beauty of Terraform. So it uses a declarative languages where all the basically Terraform defines and do all the jobs for you. You just need to know what is your current state and what is going to be a desired state, and all your rest of jobs will be taken care by Terraform. So in the picture, I just give an example saying that, for example, when we want to deploy any infrastructure in AWS or in any cloud providers in specific, so we just need to think only the resource type what we are going to deploy, and just it when we start deploying it, it automatically gets deployed in the infrastructure using Terraform. Okay, if I want to give detail, let me just go to the next slide. You can understand it even better. So there are two states basically. One is called current state and desired state. Okay. So if I want to give an analogy or take an example here, I want to go from one place to another place in a car. So what I do, I just take a map, or I just go in a car in a road where I which place I'm familiar. I just take a road. If go left, right, or straight, and exit, and I take that one. It's kind of it's an imperative way where I know I need to know, like, okay, I have to go to left. I have to take the next right. I need to go to that particular exit and take to the destination where I want to go. But when it is like declarative, it is like we drive the car, or we go by own, we book a taxi, or we take a vehicle, and we just tell the driver saying that, okay, please take me to that particular place. So the driver takes his car, and we just sit in the car, and it automatically goes to the destination where we need not to worry which way we want to go and everything. So the same way, when we want to deploy some resources in cloud, we just need to think only what infrastructure or what resource what we need to create. So rest all the Terraforms takes care. So if you just see the difference between what is current state and desired state, current state is just when we have an infrastructure with nothing, and when we create a deployment and it gets with the desired state with something or any resource state which we are looking for. If you just see the desired, when you just see the pictures here, from the left to right, so I mentioned it as a current state, where our infrastructure, when we have infrastructure with no configurations meaningfully, like, when we start infrastructure with Terraform deployment, we create infrastructure with no configuration. So that's what I just took as a current state. And it goes through the process of phases where the Terraform actually goes through, then it goes to the desired state. So I want to just walk you through the picture completely, where a user wants to deploy an EC2 instances in a AWS cloud deployment, and he writes a code in a Terraform file. Basically, when we want to launch any configurations in Terraform, the configuration file should be in the format like .tf. So TF stands for Terraform. So any configuration should be available in TF format. So the user enters the configurations in the Terraform file, and he keeps at the current state. So what happened to the current state? So when the current state is available, so basically we want to initialize, or we want to refresh the complete infrastructure to see what is the current state of the infrastructure, and the architecture comes into picture. There is an architecture called core and provider, which I'll take you on the next slide, which explains you what happens when you're running your Terraform code. So when you run a Terraform code, what happens? It initializes your plugins. Basically, the providers comes into picture. For example, when I want to deploy any resource in AWS, I want to initialize the complete infrastructure by using an init. So what that initialization does, The initialization command will check the provider's detail, and it downloads the plugins of your respective cloud providers. And once the initialization is done, then it goes to the planning stage. So in this planning stage, what happens? It compares your TF state, which is called Terraform state, which is nothing but your current state of your infrastructure, and your tf.config file, which is your config file where you want to deploy your infrastructure. So if I want to give you in a clear way, TF state is nothing but your current state of infrastructure, and TF config file is nothing but the infrastructure which you want to create. So right now we don't have any current state which is empty, which we don't have any application or any resources created. But the tf.config file has some resources which we need to create. So in this plan, what happens when you execute this particular plan, it compares your current state with your config file and says that, okay, my environment is going to create with a new resource which is defined in the tf config file. It will just plan, and it'll be available for it to apply. So next one, when you try to apply your Terraform, it actually applies on your infrastructure, and it gets deployed in your desired state. So meaning you have started with current state with nothing, and your desired state goes with some resource of creation, which is here EC2 instances, which has something resources here. Maybe I can just give you more detail on the Terraform architecture, which you can easily understand with your previous slide. Terraform architecture is actually with two. It's built up, or it is made with two components, which is core and providers. So as a previous slide says that it says three phases, which is initializing, plug, plan, and apply, which actually comprises this uh, core component. The core component is one component, and the provider is another component. So what happens when you try to apply your Terraform, and what happens behind? Okay, so basically in TF config you have your configurations which you want to create. So in our configuration we are going to create a EC2 instances, and Terraform state has your current state of infrastructure, or what is your current setup of your infrastructure. These are the two states. When you try to run your Terraform plan, okay, what happens? This particular core will actually will figure out what is your current state of infrastructure and what is the user wants to create in the infrastructure. Basically, it'll compare. So user might create the infrastructure, or he might update the infrastructure, or he might destroy the infrastructure. So here the declarative comes into picture. So when Surya told that, it is so good, and you need not to worry about the numbers which you want to create. Meaning, for example, in normal cases, for example, when you want to create an infrastructure in a new state, for example, when you want there is an existing two VMs are running, and you want to add two more VMs. So for what that we need to do is we want to add explicitly mention that I need to have two more VMs to be created. But Terraform is not like that. You need not to worry. You need not to count the numbers. You just say, okay, I need to have two more. You just keep the numbers as 4. It understands, okay, I have an existing 2 numbers, so I need to create 2 more numbers in the infrastructure. So it checks your current state and your in your TF configuration, and it understands, okay, your number is 4, and I need to make sure the desired state is 4, and I need to create 2 more instances in your environment. So that's how the architecture and the functionality when you try to create your Terraform code. So the core is in one component which takes care of your TF config and the TF state and do a planning. So this particular planning will actually check your current state and desired state and execute your plan command. So once the plan command is executed, so then it goes to your apply command. When you do an apply, it actually deploys your infrastructure in your in your cloud. Basically, it will not actually do anything else. It will deploy your infrastructure and makes your desired state as up. Okay, so this is your you want to understand. This is the main thing which you want to understand as a current state and your desired state, and what are the phases between your current state and desired state. And there's one more phase which is before in it. It is called refresh. which actually, when you try to when you do a Terraform refresh, it basically refresh your infrastructure and says, okay, there is no any other update in my environment, and gives you a updated version, updated state, and gives you on your init when you before doing an init one. Okay, so main thing which you want to understand, what is the desired state and what is the current state, and you want to understand the two component which is available in architecture. So coming to providers, so providers is a different component in the architecture, which is very important, because whenever you want to run a command, or whenever you want to create an infrastructure, so providers is very important, because providers is one component when you want very important, which you want to define in your Terraform config file where you want to deploy your infrastructure. So it can be AWS, it can be GCP, or it can be Azure, it can be any providers. There are 100 plus providers as stated in the document. So you have to make sure that right providers are given in your config file to make sure your complete infrastructure happens. So the two components which is important, which is called core and providers. Core, which takes care of your current state and your configuration file, and it makes sure syncs your current state and the desired state. And providers make sure your complete configurations get deployed in your architecture. Okay, so next one, we are going to deploy it in your, we are going to walk through the deployment in an AWS. See how we are walking. I'm going to walk you through the installation of Terraform in a Windows, and I'll be also installing an IDE. It can be Visual Studio or Atom or some other IDE, or else we can just install in Linux, whatever time comfortable. Then we are going to create a VM instances, EC2 instances using a Terraform code. It's a simple code which we are going to do today. So please go ahead with any questions from these slides. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me, and we can just go through the lab now. Any questions in this two slides on architecture and the current state and the desired state? Any questions? Correct, exactly. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you. Is there any questions? I think you were asking something. Yes, you have a command to check that one, Umesh. When you want to know the current state, there's a command called Terraform show the config file of the particular resource. Whenever you create a resource, you'll have your state, for example, that will be attached with your resource file. So you have to see your current state using your resource type, and you can just see your current state. Terraform show, I'll just explain in the coming session, because this one is fundamental. So to begin with, but there is an option to see your current state. What are the resources available? You can just check that. So any questions? We have enough time. You can go with the questions. No. Okay, no problem. So yeah, that's true. Let me walk you through the lab. Exactly, Rupert. So when you talk about plan, so plan will actually, so when you talk about this core, right? So core, what a core does it will check your current TF, it will check the TF state. TF state is showing your current state of infrastructure, and TF config is your code where you have written, okay, what my infrastructure is to be look like. Okay, so this particular area is called plan. So this plan will actually just compare your current state and your configuration state. Okay, and it will say that, okay, if I want to, when I run this particular plan, it will say, okay, my desired state will be looking like this. Okay, so let me just walk you through the lab, so probably you'll understand what I'm going to say now. Okay, you're most welcome. Let me just so to begin with, let me just connect to this VM. So I'm actually going to start from the scratch, where I'm going to install the Terraform, and we are going to install the IDE. Then we are going to create a command. Then, so in that way, you will understand more in detail. Okay. So right now, I've created a VM yesterday. I'm going to launch it, and just give me a minute. I'm just sharing this. Just give me a minute. I'm just lost some password, so I'm just trying to. Yeah, yeah, correct, correct, correct. Okay. So let me know if you're able to see my screen now. Yeah. Okay. So I'm into a machine. I'm going to download a Terraform code now. I mean Terraform file, and I'm going to install it, and I'm going to deploy a VM instances now. Okay. To begin with, the installation is very simple. Like as we download any normal file, we want to just download the Terraform exe from the internet, and we need to just download it. Okay. It's taking some time to log in. Let me just wait for that. Okay, so we are into a mission now. Okay, let me try to download a Terraform file. So Terraform exe. You just Google it. You can find it. Terraform download for Windows. So it will direct you to the download section, and just Terraform.io downloads, and you have an option for to download for your Mac OS, and there's a one more OS called FreeBSD Linux and Solaris and Windows. So since we are using a Windows one, I'm going to download the exe for the Windows. Just click on the 64-bit. Okay, securities. Okay, I think I want to download a security. Okay, so I'm going to download it now. So I'm going to save it. Okay, just rather before clicking executing it, let me. Okay, it started executing now. Okay, let me copy in a folder to keep it. C drive. Softwares. Okay, we'll go to command prompt. Let's see whether it has been installed or not. Okay. Yes. So right now, I hope the Terraform has been installed. But to check whether the installation happened or not, we just need to just execute the Terraform command. That's it. See, it is been installed now. I can just seek the right option. It says Terraform. Let's see the Terraform versions also. The Terraform version is 0.13.15. So it meaning that this particular version has been Terraform has been installed. It's just simple file. You just download it and just execute the exe file. That's it. Simple. The moment it installs, it gets success. And before doing it, we might not go into this particular folder always execute, right? So we might be maybe if we have 2 or 3 drives, we might be installing. We might have a Terraform code in a different folders, and we might execute from a different directories also. So in that case, the environment variable need to be set. Okay, so to set that, I just want to go back to the PC here and properties. Okay, advanced system settings and environment variables. Okay, before getting to that, let me tell you why I'm going to do it. People might not aware of it. Okay, so if I create a folder called Terraform code. Okay. Okay, so if I have a file, some random file, first EC2 instance. Okay, this one random file which I'm going to create under the Terraform code. So we'll be having our files to execute. Okay, so if I go to that particular file or the folder, Terraform code, and if I execute some command like Terraform -version, see, it is saying that Terraform is not recognized. Okay, meaning we have not set the environment variables. So the moment only when you set the environment variables, you can execute the command from anywhere of your location. So right now we have copied our folder, copied our exe file under softwares. From the particular location, we are able to run the Terraform code. But when you keep your code in a different folders or a different location, then you will not be able to execute it. Okay, to avoid that, we need to set the environment variables. So that's the reason we want to go and set that environment variable. To set that, go to your system and security system, navigate to that and click on the advanced system security and go to environment variables. And in the path, you just click the path. Okay, and here you just define your new location. Okay, so where the new location to be, so the location should be our exe file. Okay, here softwares, in softwares we have our Terraform exe file, so you have to navigate that and we have to keep the environment variable set. So the moment you set it and just apply okay and come back to your normal window, and just once you just close once and just come back again. Okay, so we last time we just saw the command was not working in a different folder, right? So now this time it will work properly. Okay, go to your Terraform code again, run your code again, Terraform version. This time it will work properly. See, it's working now. Earlier we were not able to run because it was showing the command was not found because the environment variable was not set. Okay, so now it is working fine because we have set the environment variables. Okay, so this one we have to do it whenever you install your exe file. So when you want to check, when you want to run a command like Terraform plan, Terraform, sorry, my spell. Yeah, correct. Terraform plan. It says that no configuration file exists. So I have not created any file. It is not available. I have a file, but it is not in the TF format, right? It shows that it is in a text format, but my file always the Terraform should be all available in .tf format. So that's the reason it says no configuration file available. So we need to create a code in a TF format. Then we need to execute all your files. Okay. So right now we want to create our one instances which is in our AWS cloud using a Terraform code. To begin with, let me just tell you, okay, let me walk you through the providers. Okay, it's called Terraform providers. So when you decided to implement your Terraform in your cloud infrastructure, it can be anything. Okay, so then you need to just check your providers list here. Okay, so here you have a number of providers. Okay, see, you can just see there are a lot of providers available. Okay, it starts with Acme and it goes on, list goes on. Okay, since we are working majorly on AWS, Azure and GCP, we can just go and click on AWS. For today's session, we'll be having an AWS. So for that, we are going to click on our AWS one. Okay, so click this particular AWS the provider list. Okay, oh sorry, it is saying some, please enable JavaScript use your application. Terraform provider. Terraform providers.
security internet settings is set to high, and that's the reason why it is not allowing it.
Maybe. Okay, let me just check. It says please enable use subscription. Okay.
Go to Alt-T, Internet Options. Then you go to Advanced, or you can go for this one also. It's Office Activity.
Yeah, it's a cloud one. It's a Windows VM actually. Great. Okay. No problem. It says something else, I don't know. Terraform providers, major providers. Okay, so we got a list actually. See, we see there are multiple providers here. It says Alibaba, AWS, Azure. These are the major providers. We have other providers also. You might be because of that security issue, we are not able to see here. But we want to go into our major cloud providers, which are these AWS at least today. Oh man, this is advanced. Okay. 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 Yeah, let me. Correct. Okay, no problem. I'll use my personal this one. Terraform providers. Okay, so if you just see, there are a lot of providers available, which is major cloud infrastructure servers, softwares, network, other stuffs here. But since we want to use our majorly on AWS, I'm going to AWS here to see what are the models, because Terraform is a model based where we actually designed in such a way where you want to take everything in a from the model. So when you want to create any resources, everything is in model based. It's a, when you want to create a complete resources or complete infrastructure, we want to group all your models to make your environment by creating your resources, like, grouping your models to make your infrastructure. Okay, so this is called pluggable. Whenever you want to have, when you want to add something to your infrastructure, when you want to remove that, so everything is easy way where you can do it. It's called a kind of pluggable, where you can do it using your models here. Okay, so when you just see here, there are a lot of options here in AWS providers. See, there are a lot of options available to have an app sync, to have an auto scaling, to have backup, cloud formation, cloud front, CloudWatch. These are the model which has been available for you to deploy. Okay, but for us, we want to deploy EC2 instances. So we want to click on the particular item where we need to see the model for EC2 here. Okay, just click on the EC2 instances. There are two things which is available in EC2 instances, which is, one is resources and another called data source, which data source will be taken in next coming sessions. For today, to begin with, I'm going to tell you the resources. Okay. So resources, say there are a lot of options available. AWS AMI, which is our image to create an AWS EC2 instances. And if you want to create a snapshot, if you want to create a EBS volume, so these are kind of models available where you can just go and use this to create your instances, or you want to create a resources out of it. Okay. So since we want to create a AWS instances, okay, so I'm just going to click this particular AWS instance model here. And you just see there are a lot of options. It shows you example where you want to pick this particular code and just edit this code or customize your code based on your need, and you can do it. There's one thing which you need to understand is arguments here, because arguments are very important whenever using your code, because sometimes all the arguments are not needed. For example, when you want to deploy resources, the arguments are mentioned here are optional and required. So the required state is very much, without that particular item, you cannot actually create any of your resources. There's one more thing called optional, where you can actually skip it if you don't really need it. Okay. So what does it mean? If I want to create a EC2 instances here, okay, when I want to create a EC2 instances, okay, so it's asking me to, it is showing my AMI here. I'm going to click that particular item. For example, if I want to create a Linux VM here, so I'll be giving a lot of options, right? So what is the option I need to give? I need to give the AMI number, and I need to give what type of the family belongs to, whether it belongs to T2 Nano or T2 Micro or T2 Small. What is the size of your VM which you need to deploy on it? And what is next? You have to, sorry. Okay, so you have to select which family which you want to do it, or which configuration you want to select it. Okay, what is next? You want to give how many instances you need, and which VPC which you want to create it, and what is the subnet you want to do, and what is your public IP. You want to enable a public IP, or you want to add placement group. So these are the options which we want to deploy. We want to mention in your code, correct? So in these details, you have to make sure that you are available in your code. Okay, when you just go to your code, see there are a lot of options available. It says that resource AMI instance type, which says owner, it says what is it blade server, or it's an which virtualization you are using, and what is the image we are going to create it, and what is your data, whether you're creating a Ubuntu or Windows, or so these are the information which you need to give. When you create it manually, you need not worry about this, because it is manual, which is already preloaded in the AWS website or in the URL. But when you define your variables in the arguments, you need to make sure you're passing your right variables to create your environment. Okay, so when you just scroll it down, see, as I said, there's an argument reference here. Okay, see, if you just see here, it says the following arguments are supported. Okay, when you create a EC2 instances, so these are the following arguments which you need to make sure are available in your code to make your code has been created or successfully creating your EC2 instances. So here it says that the code requires AMI, which is must for your code to create your EC2 instances, and says optional. When you say availability zone or placement group, it says optional, or tenancy, which is optional. Maybe it is taken by its own or maybe not required for your EC2 instances. Okay, so this is how you need to see to create your EC2 instance. See, if you can just see, most of the options are which is saying optional, which you can actually avoid when you're creating your code. But when your instances really need this kind of option, then definitely you need to make sure your options are mentioned here. Okay, so there are a lot of documents available. You have to, it's not like it's not very difficult to understand the code. To begin with, it's, you might feel a little weird by seeing this all this thing, but when you do one by one, it's really easy for you to make a complete code because it's all on model based, where you need not to worry about your code, or when you not to worry about your progress. Okay, so don't think by just seeing this you feel a little weird why this many informations are asked and how to do the script. Okay, so need not to worry, we'll just see line by line. Okay, here if you just see these are options which is saying optional, which is not really required. And if you just scroll it down, it says instance type, which is required. Okay, so when you want to create one EC2 instances, it says that these are the optional arguments which need not to worry, and these are the required type or required argument which you need to mention to create your EC2 instances. Okay, so first of all, we need to understand the arguments and the instances or the resources which you want to do it. And as I said before, see, you have there in the first line, it says that providers. Providers is very much, because whenever you want to run instances on your environment, you need to make sure your providers are given, because without this particular piece of information, you will not be able to execute, right? So code will not understand where I want to create the resources. So we have to provide the providers list here. If it is AWS, we can give AWS. If it is GCP, you have to give it as Google, or if it is Docker, or if it is Kubernetes, or if it is Azure, you have to mention the right provider name here with the region and the key. See, basically in real-time environment, the keys will be kept in the key vault, and the key vault information will be passed here. And when you run the command, the key vault information, the keys will be stored in the key vault. So the code will go and read the credentials from the key vault and execute the command. So to begin with, we are going to pass the AWS credentials on the commands itself, and we're going to execute it. Okay, so there are in actually real-time environment, we will not pass any variables here, and we will not pass any credential or any critical data on the particular code. The code will be just raw data. You will not have any variables defined, or you will not have any credentials or any confidential informations in the code. The code will be just empty with a variable defined. These variables will be stored in some other location or some other folder, where this particular data will be reading. This code will be reading your variables and your secret credentials in your key vault, and get the information and get it implemented. Going further classes, further sessions, we will actually see that as well. To begin with, we are going to deploy one easy, a simple line of command which will execute your EC2 instances. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the command. I'm going to execute it in a line here. So okay. To begin with, okay. So I think most of us used any coding language, right? So you have heard about IDE? IDE. Okay. So what is that?
Basically, it's interface environment, like
okay, correct. So Ramesh, as you said, this is an interface development environment where you actually need a tool which you know to interact with your Terraform. Okay, so where we are using Visual Studio in some companies, and some companies using Atom, and some companies will be using your normal Notepad or Nano in Linux or whatever. So okay, so we want to understand what is this IDE basically. Okay, so to begin with, I'll tell you what is IDE. IDE is, I'm using an IDE called Atom, or you can prefer any IDE basically. For example, if you're not using any Atom or any IDE specifically, you can use your Notepad also to write your command. Basically, it's nothing but it's a user interface where you can actually download this IDE and it will be where you can run your code to validate and interact with your Terraform. Okay. So to download it, you just click on this download option here. Okay, it is getting saved. Okay. It is running on your machine. Let's wait for a couple of minutes because it takes a little longer time and it is bigger file. Let's wait for that. So if you're not comfortable with Atom, or if you want to use Visual Studio, you can use Visual Studio also. Okay. Or you can, if you are using Linux, you can use Nano or you can use VA editor, but the format should be in TF format. That's it, nothing else. This is not something else which you need to learn something else. It's not like completely different one. It's just an IDE which interacts with your, which you want to write a code for Terraform and gets executed in the public cloud providers. So, okay, right now the IDE is getting installed. In this ID, there are a lot of plugins where it gives you an option where you can actually, when you write a command, it gives your auto pop-up what will be your next command, and there's an option where you don't need to do a manual error. For example, when you're writing a code by your own, sometimes you might chances of doing your spelling mistakes, right? So in this plugins, what happens when you try to just type a Terraform, it gives an option where you can, what is the next command? You in PowerShell, or you might be using different IDEs, right? The similar way, the Atom is one of the IDE which can use it. Okay. There's one more option called, there's one more IDE called Visual Studio that also can be used. Visual Studio. Visual Studio. Exactly, yeah, Visual Studio Code Editor. See, this is called Visual Studio Code Editor, which has been used in Azure Dev environment because see, these are, so this one code editor where you can actually download and you can start using it. This is again a code editor where you can, there is a lot of plugins also available for Python, for Terraform, and for PowerShell. All plugins are available. You can start deploying and you can use it. Okay. For me, I feel Atom, and I've used both. I mean, I'm using in my organization, I'm using Visual Studio Code, and I'm comfortable with it. But I just want to give more exposure to others also. Atom is one of the IDE which is also easy, where you can, I get an auto pop-up for Terraform. There are a lot of options available in Terraform, so I thought let me use this one. Everyone are aware of it. So right now the Atom IDE has been installed. Okay, so right now I'm just going to create a project. Okay, project name, I'll just give a name as okay, I have already named as Terraform code. Okay, so what I'm going to give is I'm just going to open this particular project in the IDE. Okay, I'm going to PC, my C folder, Terraform code. I'm just selecting this folder. See, my code has been applied here, but it is actually not in the TF format, right? It should be in the TF format, but yeah, since I have created in a text format, it's available, but we'll do it later. Okay, no need to worry about it. So here I want to add a plugins here. Okay, so what plugins I need to add is I just want to install a package called a Terraform language hyphen Terraform. So I can see this user has developed this particular plugin where I will use this particular plugin where I can plugin is nothing but it gives you additional features when you try to run a command, or when you run a code. It'll give you an auto option when you want to run an X code. You need not worry you don't need to remember all your commands by memory. It helps you to execute all your commands by default, so that when you start using it, you'll understand your feature of this one. So I've installed it now. It says disable and install, so it means this particular package has been installed. So let's go and start using a deployment of your code. Okay. To begin with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I've already copied a code here, so I'm taking that particular code. So I'll just execute it for you now. Okay. Okay. So I want to save it as a, first I'll save it as TF1. .tf. So you can just see the difference, okay? If you just see in .text, okay, the moment I added TF file, the color has been changed. Okay, you might be knowing it is working fine. Okay, let me just try to add one more resource. If you just give you, I'll tell you what is that. See, that's the reason it gives you an option to. Okay, so it's user friendly. AWS. See, it gives me an example of what is the next one. So you need not to worry about other stuff. So it makes me easy life. Okay. So let's just delete it. Just want you to give an example on this. Okay. So to begin with, as I said, a provider is very important. We want to create an instance with the name of my EC2, and we need to give the provider details here. Okay. So right now we are in a VM, and we have created an ID and we are running an ID command. So how does it really understand which AWS account I need to use? Correct. For that, I need to give the access key and the secret key of my AWS account. So then it actually authenticates with my AWS account and does what the requirement is all about. So first step, I want to give the providers with the username, with the credentials, everything. And I need to define what is my next action. My next action is I want to create a EC2 instances with this particular type. Okay. And if you want to add, you want to add memory, or you want to add extra resources like load balancers, and if you want to add disk add to this EVM instances, there are a lot of modules available. Keep adding your models to that. So that's it. When you add your model, Terraform will understand. Okay, user is asking me to add these instances to the resources, which I will do it for you. So that's how the Terraform will understand here. Okay, right now it says that it's asking me to give me the details of access key. So what I need to do is I want to go back to my EC2, to my AWS account. So go to IAM. Okay, go to IAM. So in IAM, what I want to do is I want to create a users. So I want to create a user called Terraform Automation. Okay, so I'm creating a user called Terraform Automation, and I want to get the access key for that. So I want the programmatic access. Okay, so this is for console, which is not required, because console is nothing but when you want to log into AWS, that is the one. But I want a programmatic access which need to be created. So it gives you the credentials of the access key and the secret key. So which we want to enable this one. Give next one. So we need to attach what kind of permission which you need. So I need an admin access, right? Basically, for example, when you want to give admin access, you can add the admin access to the users. And when you want to have which users want to be created, based on that particular policy, you can just define it. For me, I need an admin access. I'm just defining the policy here. I'm creating tag called Terraform automation. So I'm just reviewing it and creating user. So the moment it creates, so it gives me the access key here. So I'm going to copy this particular access key and I'm entering in this file here. Okay. Then I need to get the secret key and I'm giving it in the secret key area. Okay. So once I'm done with this particular credential, so I'm going to execute now. Before executing, as I said, this is not actually a best practice. If you take it in a real-time environment, because my access key and the secret key is available in the code, and there are chances if someone sees my my code, and there are chances they will use my credential and they will create any resources, or they can delete any resources, right? So in real-time environment, these credentials will be kept in a secret key vault, and the information, like, we will say that, okay, you want to pick the credentials from this location, and we'll give the secret key vault location. From there, the Terraform will understand and will get the key and it will get executed. So going forward in the coming session, we will see that as well. To begin with, I'll show you how to create an instance in this session. Okay. Now, next one is I need to create a resource called AWS instances, and I will create as next one as name as first EC2. Okay. And this AMI, we need to get it from our consoles. Okay. So when you just see, go to your EC2 instances, you just click on EC2 instances, launch instance. Okay. You can just see there are a lot of AMIs available. See, these are the AMIs. This is the AMI for Linux, another Linux, and this AMI is for Red Hat, and this is for SUSE Linux. So based on that, you can actually pick of your AMI, and AMI is nothing but Amazon Machine Image. Okay, just ID, keep that ID here. And what is the instance type which you need? Okay, so T2 micro. If I just want to go back to the command, okay, see, we are getting AWS instance here. So these are the options available. I have taken the provider AWS, I have given the region, I have given the username credentials here. But these, as I said, these are not required, right? Why it's not required? Because in the argument, if you just see, only AMI and only AMI and what is the next one? Okay, where is the next one? Okay, I think something missed here. Only two things was required, right? Only is AMI and one is instance type. See, this is instance type. If you just see the code, we have added AMI and the instance type, which is required. You can add other things also, which is saying optional, which is not required for this session. So which makes you more complicated. It will not make you understand. So we can begin with the easier way. Okay, so I'm just taking only these two instances. I'm going to create it. Okay, and it says region is US West 2. What we can do is we can create it in any region. So it says, excuse me, we are in region US East 1, so we can keep that also. We are in US East 1. US East 1. Okay, so we have done with our code and just save it. Our simple code is ready now. Our credentials has passed. Our resources is ready now. So how to execute now? Okay, we are done with this. We go to your code here. Just give it dir. Okay, if you want to see the code, okay, more. See, we can just see the code, what is in the Terraform code. Right now, we are going to execute the Terraform init. Okay, so when you execute it, before you want, I want you to check that, go to the Terraform code, and you can just see no files apart from Terraform file. Correct. This is our config file where we have our code to install or deploy our first EC2 instances. We don't see any other files. Correct. The moment if you hit the Terraform init, it will download all your AWS plugins. See, it is saying that initializing provider plugins, finding the latest version. See, it says successfully initialized. Okay, if you just go back to your folder now, see, you can just see a .terraform file here, meaning this is nothing but the plugin which will download from your internet, which is your AWS plugins. See, it says Terraform provider AWS. When you do a initialize, you will not, when you want to do a initialize first, you will see, you will not find the particular file here. The moment you do a initialize, you will see your Terraform plugins downloaded by default. Okay, so right now we have initialized it. So what is the next one? We want to execute the plan. Okay, again, I'm going to show this folder. You have only two files here, Terraform and instance type. You can just see one more files here. Okay, Terraform plan. So this plan, as I said before, it will check your current state and your configuration file. Correct. It will say, okay, my current state is nothing. I have not done anything in this environment, but your current TF config file has one EC2 instance to be created. That's what we mentioned, right? if you just see the code now, in the plan, it says something. If you see the bottom, it says that plan 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Okay, meaning we have done one creation which is going to change our complete environment. Okay, we'll go one by one and see what is happening here. So right now we have given Terraform plan. It says refreshing the Terraform state in memory prior to plan. Okay, if you just say that, see, it says plus create, meaning we are creating a instances or we are creating some resources. Plus means it says creation. Okay, we have to be very particular. Sometimes it shows minus, it means it is removing resources from your infrastructure. So this plus means you are creating a resources. See, here it says AWS instance first EC2 will be created. Okay, the image which we have given is AMI, and ARM is resource manager. Whenever you create a resource, it will give you a resource number. So meaning here known after apply. So these are the other information which will create after applying your EC2 instances. Okay, the host ID, instance state. So these are the information which we are not given, but it takes your default and it will be available only after applying the command, Terraform apply command. You can just see everything is available. Okay, we have given T2 micro. If you want to give other information, that is also can be given, but it is taking its default value. Okay, so everything is available. It says known after apply. Everything is creating. It shows everything is creating after apply, and it says plan 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. You have to be very sure while executing, because sometimes if it is showing minus, it means it is removing that particular resource from your environment. So you have to be very particular in that. Okay. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it. Apply it now. Okay. The moment it applies, it will ask for you to confirm it again. So you have to give yes before confirm. So right now I'm going to give yes. So the moment if okay, something happened, does not exist, or maybe the AMI which I have given is wrong. So probably I have to give the right AMI now. Okay. Okay, previous one, I'm going to take this particular AMI. There. Okay, so to edit it, you can go back to your IDE, okay, and change this one, change it to your, and save it. Save it. Always best practice, you should not apply immediately. You should just give a plan and Terraform plan. Okay, so you have to check the AMI which we passed. So AMI which we passed is changed now, and we will apply it now. Okay, apply it now. I'm giving yes. So it is saying that AWS instance, the name which we are given is creating. So it will take 1 or 2 minutes or even less based on your resources, and it will complete and it will give you the status. So right now we have initialized it. The initialize, it downloads a plugin, and when you do a plan, it is actually comparing your current state and your desired state and gives you the output saying, okay, based on your configuration, I'm going to create one EC2 instances, and the moment you apply and it creates it. So you can just see that it is created after 31 seconds and it says apply completed, resource 1 is added, nothing is changed, nothing is destroyed. Okay, to go and confirm back, go to your console. Okay, go to your console, EC2 instances, because we have created in North Virginia, right? So you can just see one is already created. See, it is initializing now. To confirm that, you go back to your command and you can just see your ID. It ends with 2369680. Okay, you can just see 23680. It has been created and it is initializing now. Okay, so this is how you want to create your EC2 instances or any resources using your Terraform code. Okay, and the moment you create it, you can also destroy that. Okay, we will just see after our questions. Probably I will leave this time for your questions, and then we will just take the next. Next one is we can go and destroy the same resources by using destroy command. So hopefully, I think you understood. Probably, I think you have a lot of doubts. Please go with the questions.
able to hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead, Umesh. Yeah, I can hear you.
When we do the initial so sometimes in that time provider related permission to install. Like we need to manually install anything else.
We don't want to install anything manually. See, when you had only one file, when you have created you have created only one file, right? Which is your config file, correct? The moment when you install your initializing, it download your provider plugins, meaning you plugins to do your operation. See, Terraform needs AWS plugin to create some resources, right? Without this plugin, we cannot do anything, right? So it downloads its plugin to create the resources. And we can just see there's one more called Terraform state. So the moment when you apply our plan, there was no any Terraform state, correct? So the Terraform state mean it will actually check your current state. Terraform state is nothing but your current state of your environment. Once you go to your current state, and it will check your config file. Then it will install then apply will actually create your new instance. Before that, you might not think the Terraform state. Now you are able to see it, correct? And you can also check this Terraform state. If you just go back to your, if you see, it is saying that this is your current instance. That's what it says. See, it says what is your current state. It says that I have an EC2 instances with some ID which we are given it. See, this is our ID. This is our current state, and the moment it creates your environment.
Yeah.
No.
So it is like similar game if I'm going to I can put some so I can put some is not allowed to duplicate this
No need to duplicate. You don't need to duplicate. You have to define the number. That I will tell you in coming sessions. We'll create more resources in future, so will your answer will be sorry. You can get your queries cleared. Most welcome. So please welcome your questions. Anyone else has any questions? Anyone else has any questions? I think it's very silent today. Yes, of course. Different providers. You're right. Yeah, every provider has their own provider credential options. In Azure, it has a subscription. In Google, it has account. So each provider has their own credential format. Yeah, please do it. Most welcome. So anyone has any questions? Hey, Rajesh, please go ahead, Rajesh. Definitely, yes. It is available. Oh, you were asking about the key, right? You're talking about. Okay. See when you just see it says that instant is not associated with the key pair. Instant is not associated with without key pair you can't log into. You cannot use. Okay, but it is saying it is taking the default key pair which is taken from the last time. That's the reason it's not allowing. It's taking a previous one. See, it says you can connect using a session if you have been granted the necessary permissions. Correct. Anyone has any questions? Default, yes, it is taking a default. See, it is taking all the sub Amazon security group, everything it took a default. But if you want in specific, okay, you want to say, okay, I want to put in this subnet, okay, you can specify that particular subnet, and you want to say that I want to create in a different VPC, which I want to create in my custom VPC, then you can do it in that particular VPC. And you want to attach some particular disk, you can attach that also. So these are the way you can do it. But here it is taken a default one, which is that's the reason it created. If not, you can specify what you want to do it. Okay. Any questions? We have an option to enable it, Pankaj. So definitely that is also an option which is available, which you can do it. You can do it. That is an option where you can enable your more secure, where you can provide your credentials, provide your secret keys, and you can keep your secret keys in your key vault, and that can be accessed to that. That is possible.
So what happens if destroy this bank? Yeah. And if still want to initialize applying the configurations again from Terraform.
Sorry, I didn't get your name and your question properly.
Okay, Ramesh here. So what I'm asking is, what happens if I destroy this VM from EC2 instance here? And again, I try to Terraform.
Okay. Okay. We can do that also. We can just try now. No problem. So you want?
We don't destroy it from
Okay. But doesn't make any. But doesn't make any meaningful, right? So you wherever you do it, that's the same operation.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is since the configuration knows about the start,
of course, we can do one thing. We can just create. We can just delete it and we can try it again. Okay. What we can do? You want me to delete this one, right? Okay. Let's delete it. This one. No, I don't think so. That's the case. Let's see. When if you because Terraform whenever you when you exactly. Yes, you're right. Because whenever you initialize it, it initializes your plugins, and when you try to run it, it will take your current state, right? And it compares with that. Let's try. I mean, I'm deleting it, right? Okay, so we'll try it again. Run it, rerun it. Exactly. Okay, I'm terminated it now. Okay. So I'm going to initialize it again. Okay. It says that it is going to create one. It is created. So it says that it is been refreshing the Terraform in memory, and it says that refresh state will be used to calculate this plan, and this will be persistent. Okay, so it is taking the same one. Exactly.
So that way, let's say the second dimension is going to
Exactly, yeah. I didn't understand your question probably maybe.
Yeah, what I was asking is, just in case now the EC2 instance is created, yeah, the tasks that I want to Terraform plugin us to configure some security connection in this VM.
Okay.
So what is the case? Still what's not VM? The plugin security rules.
Terraform. I understand. See, there's one command which actually shows. Okay, let me just tell you that Terraform. What is that command? State. Sorry, correct. State list. Okay. See, exactly. First we'll just get a state list, then we'll just go to the state show. Okay. Ramesh, so right now, Ramesh, when you for question you asked me, okay. So whenever you create a Terraform, it actually creates its state for each resources. Okay. Let me put on mute. Okay, sorry, I put on mute. Ramesh, if your question I'm answering is that whenever a resource gets created, okay, it creates its states. When you just give the command called Terraform state list. But exactly, this will be actually this is our local here, but we will when we're in an environment we will be copying it in a remote desktop or remote storage. We will not keep it. Exactly, we will not keep this in local here because since this is not a best practice actually. Okay, what happens? So exactly. So we will move this state show in a storage bucket or any EC2 S3. So from there we will actually take this one. Okay. Exactly. So this is how we need to do it, Ramesh. Okay. Yeah. So in going forward, we'll be having more, more practical and more production in in the production environment. How we are going to in such a way. This is the first session, right? So people should not go weird, or they should not get afraid of the classes or session what we are going to do. So it's a basic from zero to we want to make sure everyone are getting understanding from the basics. So we are not making so complicated. That's the reason I'm making it very easy. So day goes on, then it will be more practical oriented with production related stuff, Ramesh. Okay, thank you so much. So anyone has any questions here? Anyone doesn't understand what we did, or you want to know even better or in a nicer way, so please let me know so I can just take it. Lakshmi, you have any questions, Kevin? Okay. No problem. Anyway, this is recorded session. No problem. Anyway, this is recorded session. I'll be sending the link to you all. Probably you can just see it. Yeah.
So then one more small
Please go ahead. Of course. If you have Terraform already available in your environment, just go to this Terraform state list. Okay, it gives you a complete list of your environment which is already deployed. Okay, then you can just check which one you need, and for the particular instances, you can take this one and you can just see your instance and see your state. This way you can do it. Okay.
Get the state we have to do the init.
Exactly. Yes, or refresh. Init is just it will give you the plugin. It will download the plugin. But if you want to refresh, update is different. So what do you mean? I didn't understand. Maybe am I? I might miss something. Hmm. Okay. See, okay, maybe I'm understood. I think I didn't get you proper question.
The state that occupied the
Hmm.
the state taking
See, the TF state will show you the current environment list. The TF state. Exactly. See, when you just see this particular file, right, terraform.tf state, which will actually show you what are the instances available in your environment or what is your current state. You got it? Okay, this will actually tell you what are the instances or what are the current state of your infrastructure completely, basically. Okay, then it will actually tell you, and when you try to run the plan, it will check this state with your current code and it will tell you what you are going to change. Yeah. Yes. Right now we have not see what happened. We have deleted the resources, correct? We have deleted. See, if you just see the Terraform state, it is not showing now. Correct. See, TF state. What does the TF state mean? It will show your current. It will show your current state of your environment. Correct. Right now, earlier we were seeing complete list. See, if you just see the backup, it is already backed up. This is your current your previous configurations. Okay. After deleting, your state file has been changed. It is showing nothing. Meaning your current state is nothing. You don't have any resources created. It shows empty. Correct. When you try to plan it, when you just run it again. Okay. When you run it again, when you run it Terraform plan. Okay. It's a dry run. It will tell you. It will tell you. It will just refresh your Terraform plan. Will compare your TF state with your this file. Your TF state and this. It will compare these two states basically. Because we have deleted the east instance, right? That's why it's null. If you just see the TF dot backup, we have already have one VM now, but after it become null. It is empty now. Correct. Now, when you try to run a plan, it will the architecture will actually check your instance file and your TF state, and it will say that okay, I want to create one VM now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply now. The moment if apply, this state will actually get refreshed. You will see one VM here. Okay, you can just see. I'm going to give S now. Okay, you can just see the particular TF state will actually change to your. It is empty, right? It will change to your one. It will.
So the refreshes will bring the modality plan and the applied state, is it?
I didn't get you. What is that?
The refresh of the state. So it is happening both for the plan and the applied state.
The refresh will happen only on your current state, not on the plan, not on the apply. See, right now, when you do a refresh, it will check is there any update happened here, and it give you. When you do a plan, it will compare your config, what you're going to configure, what you're going to configure in environment, and it will check your TF state. See, now, if you just see earlier, the TF state was empty because nothing was created. Now you can just see the moment it is created, it is creating now. See, it is creating, but you can see your config state has been changed. TF state has been changed. You got it?
Yes.
Ramesh, I think your question is answered now.
Yeah, that's answered.
It's updated now. So, but still it is creating in the background.
Say example, if you're trying to do a plan today,
Hmm.
and I'm interested to create an instance tomorrow. In that way, the author might have created the instance. So the initialize the apply command, not initialize the apply command should say the state and confirm whether the state is existed.
Maybe that could happen in the background. Exactly. Maybe that could happen in the background, but best practice we will be doing from the plan and from the refresh. Maybe that if some changes happen, that should not be missed.
Yeah, so that was my question. I think it does apply all this happen on
Yeah, maybe I can just check that on this. Yeah, maybe that is a good question. Maybe I will just check and I'll come back to you on. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Maybe this also could happen. Maybe it happens in the back end and could. Yeah, correct. Right. Okay. But right now I think it is creating, but maybe it got stuck. But I think it is being created. Let's go back to the EC2 instance and it says, let me give a refresh now. So it's again creating. Okay. So it's created now. Okay. Now it's completed. Cool. Cool. Any questions? Anyone has any other questions? Yeah, please go. No problem.
Okay, that's okay. I just wanted to confirm.
No, it is not. Yeah, okay.
Well, basically, I don't specify anything like there are chances to get
Exactly. It actually takes your resource name and it creates it.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone has any questions? No problem. Then we can just try to destroy this one. Okay. I'm going to destroy the same thing. Okay. Basically, in our environment, we will not be doing this. Like, we cannot just do a destroy because it will take completely. We need to give the resource name and do it. That's a best practice. But since we have only one file, I'm going to give like that. But that's not. Yeah, please go ahead, Ramesh. Hmm.
On the manual side, we are deleting
Hmm. Hmm.
that's like actually does not the deletions. Components also one after the other. So also but the public IP and associated components are treated manually.
Maybe let me just go and check the public IP. Basically, it is when you create a here in AWS, you're right. You will be the land, even the land. What do you call the network card will be. We have to delete it manually in Azure, and we have to delete the public IP separate. But here, I don't think so. So yeah, we don't need to worry about it. Only unless when you attach your Elastic IP, you need not to worry about it. So when you create and attach an Elastic IP, then you need to go and delete it manually. But apart from that, all your other stuff gets deleted when you delete your AWS instances.
So when the geo was removed, I was thinking that Azure state, I need to touch that. So what I did is, let's say I have the same instance name, I have created with the Terraform code, and I have edited it in the geo. With the same name, I have again created the Terraform code, creating new instance. Then what happens to those ones which were previously associated with those question. So that's what it is. And what happens to the automatically assign to the large instance? Or is it something different?
I don't think so. Whenever we create I don't think so. It'll get associated again. It'll create a new one. Because, for example, when I create a resource in your Azure, for example, I will create a VM, it creates a disk with its name, and it creates the network card with its name. Correct? You're deleting it. What happened? The name which you, for example, you're creating a VM called Surya. The disk will create the name of Surya disk one, and it'll create the network card called Surya network card one. Okay. Now build this name called Surya VM, and you're deleting it again. Okay. You're creating again a new VM with the same name called Surya, but it will create the new disk because the existing disk is already created with disk one. Whenever you create a new one, it starts with 01 or 02 only, 01 only basically. So when you create a new VM, it will say that it will create a new VM and new card. It will not add manually. You have to do it. Exactly. Exactly. If you want to attach the existing one, you have to be specific, saying that okay, I need this card and I need the disk which has to be attached with the new VM. Then that's possible. You have to define the variable. Yeah, thank you. Cool. So right now I'm going to destroy this from the Terraform. Okay, I'm going to destroy it. So it says that it has been, when you delete it, it is saying minus, right? When you create it, shows plus. When you just say the destroy, it shows minus. But we have to be very particular when you using this destroy command. Sometimes in a production environment, actually there's a different command. You have to be specific with the resource name. But since we have only one resource, we are just giving a destroy command directly. But in a real-time environment, we have to be specific, saying that Terraform destroy hyphen the resource name. Then only it only deletes that particular resource. So make sure that the name is given properly, but going forward, we'll be doing that as well. So no need to worry. And I'm going to destroy this from the CLI using Terraform. So it's destroying now. It'll completely destroy from your Azure AWS platform. So when you just go back to your AWS console, and you can just see it gets deleted. See, it's showing shutdown. See, it is getting terminated. And you can also see the Terraform state will vanish. See, it's vanished. Ramesh, going forward, from next session, what we can do is I will do a remote backup of this one, not on the locally, but we'll keep this as remote one, so it'll be easy for us to understand if something goes wrong, and we can take a backup from that. We will do that as well. We'll do that as well. Thanks for bringing that actually. Okay, it's been destroyed now, and so lab is completed. We have 6 more minutes. If you have any questions, please let us know, so we can just stop this session today. Please go ahead, sir.
When there are multiple resources that we call, how do we keep the precedence? For example, some giant resources.
Correct.
So if I just wanted to delete the giant resources, should I also keep the instance name? Or is it some instance name when the child resource?
What does the child resource mean? What does it mean?
Okay, let's talk child resources as well.
Correct. What you can do is while running a command, you can just be specific, say that I want to remove the disk. So there's an option to remove the disk. Okay, I am saying okay, I don't want the disk to be associated anymore with EC2 instances. I can just remove that, specifying the resource name, so it actually checks and removes from your account or from the EC2 instances. I will definitely coming forward because we have a lot of tasks. Of course, we have a lot of labs coming forward. We'll be having a lot of scenarios in this. That's how I'm going to plan it accordingly. I'll just sync up with you again, Ramesh. So maybe this will help me to make my sessions more interesting for other people also. So it'll rather me deciding what I'm going to do. So if I can talk to you guys and understand what is the requirement. So based on that, sessions will be planned on. So we can definitely work on it, Ramesh. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. No problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Making this session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you so much. So anyone has any questions? Clear. Definitely, you can do anything, whatever you want, you can do it. You can reach me. You have my mobile number, and you have my email ID. You can call me anytime. We can just discuss on this. Pankaj, no problem. Thank you.
One final question, sir.
Please go ahead, Ramesh. No problem. Anytime, any questions.
So,
Correct. Right now, see, wherever it can be anywhere, right? So right now I'm using cloud instances. I'm running this command. But if you're using in your own laptop, you can do it using any IDE. It's not only using IDE. I mean, our concern is just want to give the providers this information is exactly. So we want this. This is the one which matters. You can run it from your Notepad plus plus. Okay. But the file should be in TF format, then you have to execute. That's it. I mean, this IDE, because I'm just adding because it's easy for me to, if I just type the name comes to me for easy and it gives a lot of options for me. That's the reason, nothing else specific. Exactly. Only thing you just need only this provider's information is must. This is the important which you need to connect to your AWS instances wherever you are. You can connect from your laptop also, no problem. Yeah, and exactly. So no account information is actually nothing but when you give your access key and access key. This is actually this understands because when you give a provider as AWS, it itself understands, okay, this is a AWS provider. The plugin itself, the plugin itself, or the model itself understands, okay, this is for AWS, and I want to talk to the AWS console. So it talks to like that. Yeah. Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramesh. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pankaj. Anyone has any questions? Thank you so much, Kamlesh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kamlesh. Thanks for continued support. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. We'll have more sessions coming forward, Rupal. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks. Bye. Thanks everyone. So I'll this record is a recorded session. I will send you the link and you can just have a look on this. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Cheers. You too. Bye. Cheers. 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 Bye. Thank you.